What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. B motherfucking C coming at you with today's amped upload, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with this one. A lot of good discussion coming up in this one. This is gonna be like the old school amped up podcast where we just shot the shit about pro wrestling for like a full hour at a time. It's gonna be one of those type of uploads. So grab your beverage of choice, kick back, and hopefully you guys are captivated, not just enjoy, but you're captivated by the content, man, because we're going to talk Roman Reigns' return to WWE. We do have the date. It's going to be a while, but at least we have a date on when Roman is coming back, and BC's going to tell you why you can expect this dude even before this date. So we're going to talk all things Roman Reigns' return to the company. We do have confirmation on when that is, and BC is saying expect it even sooner. We're also going to talk major changes, I mean big changes to WrestleMania, and it's going to start next year. We're going to talk that in this upload. We're also going to talk Rock versus Undertaker. What if I told you The Rock was going to take on The Undertaker in 2024? What if I told you? You'd be like, no, BC, both part-timers, both in their 50s, both would be winded and broken 2 minutes into this thing. I hear you, I get it. But they both, it's a discussion because they're both kind of teasing a match. They're kind of going back and forth, trading off some jabs. So, you know how WWE is. They could actually turn this into a reality, in which case, whether you like it or not, it's going to have to be, you're going to have to deal with it, right? So BC is going to come up with a scenario where everybody can win, right? No harm, no foul. The one viable way that you could have The Rock versus Undertaker in 2024. And I think it's a pretty interesting concept. We'll talk all about it, what that idea is. The one match that they would have that would make sense and be a lot of fun. Rock Taker in 24. We'll talk that coming up in this upload. Also, the Wyatt Six in 2024, something that never truly came to fruition when Wyndham was still with us. But now with this new faction being created for Bo Dallas, for Uncle Howdy, because judging by these teasers, these QR codes, all of that, it's not just going to be Bo Dallas. There's some type of faction being formed for Uncle Howdy. And now it's just about which individuals are within that faction. So if you're going to make a play on like the Wyatt Six and say that 5 individuals will join Uncle Howdy, right? Let's just go that route. BC is going to name the 5 individuals. If I had the creative pen, the 5 individuals that I would tack on with Bo Dallas, with Uncle Howdy. And I think this would make a badass, not just a badass faction, but it would make sense. So we're going to talk about which 5 individuals should be joining up, linking up with Uncle Howdy. That's coming up in this upload as well. And I will address the whole JD co-host situation and why I said no to the offer. So I will address that, hopefully more. That'll be more transparency as to why I said no. That's coming up in this upload as well. So that's all going to be now, sort of, because I'm going to get a massive swig of my coffee. I'm going to down a lot more coffee. I'm going to take you guys to the opening signature, a little bit of electricity to get you amped up. Come right back, and we'll talk about everything that I just teased. Come on back. Let's get amplified. So we'll start off right where we kicked off the teaser. Roman Reigns' return to the company. WWE has confirmed August 2nd, Roman Reigns will return. That is a Friday night. That is a live SmackDown. More importantly, more pivotal, that is the night before SummerSlam, emanating from Cleveland, Ohio. So that is the go-home SmackDown show to SummerSlam. That tells us that Roman will be a part of SummerSlam. And what it also tells BC is you can expect this dude way before August 2nd, or at least weeks before August 2nd. This tells me that WWE does not have concrete plans yet. They just know Roman will be a part of SummerSlam, so they want to lock him down for the go-home show so that he can really sell whatever they have going for SummerSlam. So they just want to lock down Roman for sure right before SummerSlam. As they get further along with plans, you can expect Roman to be penciled in on more SmackDown shows. So bare minimum, this dude's returning in July. But August 2nd is the confirmed return for Roman Reigns as of now. Again, that is just for WWE to kind of just lock down Roman beforehand and just know that they have him definitely for that show. I expect this dude to at least show up to 2 more. This is bare minimum, 2 more SmackDowns before August 2nd. So a total, in bare minimum totality, of 3 SmackDown appearances to sell whatever they have for Roman at SummerSlam. And you got to believe that's going to be like a tag team match or a 6-man tag. I do not want to see the Bloodline implosion payoff at SummerSlam. That should be saved for like Survivor Series, maybe even War Games. Could you imagine, right? So you have Solo Sikoa Tamatonga, you have Jacob Fatu, and they're taking on Jimmy and Jay and Roman, a face Roman, inside of War Games Survivor Series. That payoff is way bigger than SummerSlam. And on top of that, if Roman is just coming back a few weeks before, then you're not even properly hyping up that match. And if you just do a tag match with just 2 of Solo's bloodline and just 2 of like Roman and Jay or Roman and Jimmy, something like that, then you're diluting, you're diminishing the value of what could be produced at Survivor Series, right? You're kind of giving away most of that match. So I don't even want to see that. So they got to be careful what they have planned for Roman Reigns. I don't even know if they know, right? They just know that they want Roman to be at SummerSlam. We'll lock him down for the night before, but we don't know what we're doing with him yet. We'll see. Obviously, it's going to further along the 2 separate bloodlines, right? The bloodline implosion with Solos, which obviously will have something to do with The Rock, and then Roman's face version. It's going to be interesting to see how they link back up Jimmy and Jay, by the way. But anyway, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. WWE, I'm pretty sure, doesn't know where they're going with this. So right now, August 2nd, Roman's return, and we'll see which SmackDowns he's penciled in beforehand, because that is not going to be his comeback. I can tell you that right now. Moving forward, WrestleMania. These are big changes coming for WrestleMania, and it's starting next year. Nick Khan has already stated he's not afraid to compete, but he'd rather not, right? He does not want anything affecting the best number that these shows can produce. On one hand, I totally get that, right? It's strategic, it's smart business. On the other hand, you don't want to look like you're running away from award shows, right? The Oscars. Monday Night Football, things like that, that's one thing. Back in the day, pro wrestling, WWF, WCW, they did not run from Monday Night Football at all. They believed in their product so vividly, so passionately. They always put their best foot forward, and pro wrestling was actually smacking pro football, NFL, upside the dome piece many weeks. Now it looks like they just kind of want to just avoid anything that could affect a number, and it looks like WrestleMania is going to be the latest victim of that, because Nick Khan wants to move WrestleMania off of the weekend that it's currently on to avoid the NCAA, the Final Four. This year it was affected on Saturday, and I believe the Raw after, correct? Was it the Raw after WrestleMania? Well, either way, 2 big events WrestleMania weekend affected once again by the NCAA. That happens every year. That's what makes it more fun, right? It makes the weekend more fun. Everybody has to decide. It makes WWE step up their game. It makes WrestleMania have to be better. So that was always the fun of it. Now it looks like Nick Khan wants to totally push it back. There was some word that he would push it forward, but after the latest weather situation in Philadelphia this year, it got really cold on Saturday night, and it affected how the crowd reacted. And internal word is that Nick Khan, Triple H, Paul Levesque McMahon, they were not thrilled with that. So to avoid that, they're not going to avoid going to colder weather climated arenas or stadiums. They're going to just push back the date. So it helps them avoid NCAA. It'll get warmer temperatures. There's a lot of upside, they feel, to pushing WrestleMania back. Now, the problem with that, of course, is most times, if you push it back a week, you're going to run into Easter Sunday. A lot of people celebrate. A lot of people are not going to have WrestleMania on their mind. They might want to avoid holiday. So now you're talking, do you up it 2 to 3 weeks later? We're not just talking about a week change. Many years to come. So now you could be looking at WrestleMania mid to late April. That's a huge change, right? It's usually end of March, early April, right there with the Final Four. So Nick Khan is trying to avoid that at all cost, and that is going to start next year. We're also hearing, that's not the only changes coming, we're also hearing that Thursday night before WrestleMania most likely is going to be the new night for the Hall of Fame. It's going to be a standalone again, or at least that's word that has been discussed. It was even discussed for this year. It just didn't come to fruition. Nothing did until last minute for this year's Hall of Fame. But we're hearing that Thursday night could kick everything off. So Wednesday would start off the Access event, WWE World, whatever they want to call it. Thursday would be the Hall of Fame. Friday, the go-home show for SmackDown. And then the 2 nights of Mania. And then, of course, the Raw after Mania. You got to believe the biggest reason that this is being discussed even more vividly after Mania is because it went kind of long on Friday. You have the 2-hour SmackDown. You have the dark matches first, or the dark segments. Then you go into 2 hours of SmackDown. Then you have the setup for the Hall of Fame. And by the time the Hall of Fame was done, you're in the wee hours of the morning. A lot of these individuals had to get up early for appearances at WWE World, radio stations, TV appearances, you name it. And they got, 2 to 3 hours of sleep, maybe? So I think it's a good idea. I was happy to hear that they were discussing this last year. It just didn't come to fruition. And now we're hearing it more vividly. So it's interesting. We're hearing Nick Khan talk a lot more about next year's Mania. I think they know how massive this event is truly getting. And this is like a Super Bowl of sorts, man. And they're like, dude, this could be even bigger than this. So they're really trying to tweak some things here and there. I got to give them credit for not just settling, for trying to make this even bigger. So we'll see. But that's just a couple of huge WrestleMania changes to come. Something tells me before Mania season rolls around next time, we're going to hear a lot more. A lot more changes, man. And even bigger than these. So that's with Mania. Rock versus Undertaker. We got to talk about it. I got to get a swig of coffee. Hold on. This is a good one. So, obviously at WrestleMania, Taker chokeslams The Rock. All right. So now, just what was it, yesterday or 2 days or something like that? The Rock shows that graphic. He's getting chokeslammed. And he's like, this dude surely knows how to ruin the party. He's like, I'll see you down the road, my friend. Payback is a biatch. And so that's what The Rock put to The Undertaker. And he put that out on the social doohickey machine. So The Undertaker responds, ain't no party starts until I walk in. I ain't hard to find, biatch. That was great. So The Undertaker throws that jab and challenge back at The Rock. And it got people talking, hold on. Don't tease that because WWE will actually go with it. So it got BC thinking, hold on. I know the community, right? Especially IWC. Everybody's going to be up in arms. No, do not. We don't need this at any event. 2 50-year-olds plus, part-time. They'll be winded and broken in 2 minutes. I get it. Trust me. I hear you. But what if, right? What if they wanted to do this as an exhibition match, right? Rock wanted to be a part of something, but there's no way he can train for an actual in-ring match, nor would he have the time, nor could he leave LA, something like that. What if they did a match, right? If WWE just wanted a 10-minute exhibition, SummerSlam or whatever, what if they did something like a Hollywood backlot brawl? Or whatever you want to call it, right? Like WrestleMania 12. I don't know if you guys remember this. Goldust versus Roddy Piper. It was something called like a Hollywood backlot brawl. And Goldust wanted Piper. If you wanted to settle anything, you're going to come to his space, which is, it's Hollywood, right? That was Goldust. And he's going to make a production out of it. So Roddy Piper said, you got it. I don't care where it is. Piper went over to Hollywood. They were at a backlot of these studios. And they actually just beat the shit out of one another. It was actually really fun, man. It's not going to be up there with Melty Boy's 7-star matches, nor should it be. Nor did it have to be. And you know what? I'll remember that one more than his entire 7-star list. That's how good, or at least how fun, Piper and Goldust was, man. It was a good breakup, too, in WrestleMania 12. Because later on, you still had the boyhood dream becoming a reality. Shawn Michaels defeating Bret Hart in a match that was over an hour, by the way. So this was a good breakup from the ring. It helps complete a show in totality. So what if The Rock, right? Rock's talking all this crap about Taker, and Taker's, like, dude, come on, boy. What are you waiting for? What if Rock's like, no, I'm not leaving LA. I got big productions here. You want to fight? You're going to come to Hollywood. Coming to Los Angeles. You're coming to the studios. And The Rock's like, I'm going to teach you a lesson. I'm going to make a production out of it. And Undertaker's like, you got it. Undertaker rolls up on his motorcycle, on his Harley. And the cameras are there waiting to see The Rock and Undertaker just have a fight. What if you had a Hollywood backlot brawl to break up a PLE event, guys? No harm, no foul. It's one of those cinematic matches, right? Like AJ Styles and The Undertaker from a few years ago. I think that was Taker's last match, was it not? I believe it was. So they had that, and it was fun, right? Styles and Undertaker, that was a fun fight more than a match. It made sense, and it was a good breakup in the rest of the event. Man, if you had and that would play up The Rock's Hollywood character too, right? Why everybody doesn't like The Rock supposedly all of a sudden, right? The ego, the narcissism. He tells you on Raw after WrestleMania, I gotta leave now. I'm going back to Hollywood. I am the final boss. I'm bigger than all of this, right? That's The Rock's character. And here he is. He doesn't have the decency to step out of those studios to fight Undertaker. Taker has to come to Hollywood. Taker has to come to The Rock. And they just beat the shit out of one another all around the studios, man. And you make it cinematic. I mean, if you guys saw Goldust and Roddy Piper, that's just a taste of what you could do. That's something that even if, you have the bitchers and complainers about it, right? No, I don't want to see that. I don't need to see that. I just want to see an athletic bout of 30 minutes and then they shake hands afterwards and mutual respect and hopefully Meltzer gives it 7 stars. If you're totally against it, it's fine, but it's no harm, no foul. I mean, for those 10 minutes, it's only like 10 minutes of the PLE, 10 minutes for this exhibition Undertaker Rock fight. And if you really don't like it, go pick up a hobby for 10 minutes, right? Go outside, start smoking or something, play in traffic, twiddle your thumbs a little bit. I don't know, but for 10 minutes, don't ruin it for the rest of all of us. Rock versus Undertaker makes a ton of sense if you're going to have fun with it, man. But you can count on fans today to totally just absolutely ruin it, right? Say things like Rock and Roman should be at 5 a.m. at Elimination Chamber. So most of us can watch The Rock return to WWE on replay. Watch it on demand, not live. That's just what we do now. I don't know. I'm not against it, man. It's pro wrestling. It should be fun. And if The Rock and Undertaker want to fight on a pay-per-view for 10 minutes, I'm pretty sure it's not going to ruin the PLE. I'm pretty sure they're not going to take that much time away from younger talent that needs the TV time. How's that working for everybody as it is, right? I mean, if you're going to blame The Rock for his appearances as to why everybody else is not over and getting time when he is not there that often. He came back for a few months for Mania. That's it. Everyone else on this roster has the rest of the year to get over, to have all the TV time in the world, and it doesn't help any of them, or most of them. So I wouldn't blame The Undertaker and Rock. All I'm saying, guys, is listen, if you want to do The Rock versus Undertaker at like SummerSlam in a cinematic Hollywood backlot brawl match or fight for 10 minutes, don't ruin it for all of us. I'm down. I'll take out the wallet, throw some credit cards. You choose one. That's the scenario, guys. That's a viable, a feasible fight where it could be a lot of fun. I think it would be. And they would stage it out perfectly. Man, it would be one of the highlights of the PLE, I bet. Interesting concept, but that is a real thing, guys. Undertaker and Rock are taking some jabs at one another, and you got to believe it's only a matter of time before WWE really picks up on it. Interesting. Over to the Wyatt Six, which never actually came to fruition. A lot of people had variations of it, like who they believe the Wyatt Six is, right? Is it like the Huskus, the Pigs, and the Sister Abigails, and Ramblin' Rabbit, right? Do they make up the Wyatt Six? Or is it going to come to fruition like actual pro wrestlers joining Bray? Well, with Uncle Howdy coming back, Bo Dallas, and really honoring the legacy of Bray Wyatt and everything he stood for. The brother of Bray Wyatt is about to embark on his biggest role to date in WWE, carrying on his brother's legacy. The latest teases on Raw indicating that he will have reinforcements upon his return, with verbiage being used like us and we. Those are the QR codes, the teasers. It's not going to be just Bo Dallas. Now, that could just be 1 or 2 other returns, or possibly even 5, which would again make up the new Wyatt Six. If that is the case and WWE goes full throttle with Uncle Howdy and his new, quote, family, if you will, who joins Howdy, right? Who are those 5 superstars? Who would make sense joining up with Uncle Howdy, more importantly? Number 1 would have to be Alexa Bliss. Bliss was the right-hand gal of The Fiend, and before she had her last match, 15 months ago, by the way, on January 28th, 2023, her last match against Bianca Belair, she was starting to show signs of that darker Bliss again, possibly joining up with Howdy. Bliss has stated she is back at it, quote, in the gym, and even showed interest in Triple H's announcement that this year's SummerSlam will be in Cleveland, Ohio, not far from Bliss's hometown of Columbus. It only makes sense that Bliss joins Uncle Howdy. And that character, Alexa Bliss, she says to this date, that was the funnest character and the best time she's had in pro wrestling. And it was the most fun for fans like BC. For sure, it makes the most sense. Now, number 2, Eric Rowan. Rowan was an original member of the Wyatt family along with Bray and Harper. With Wyndham and Brody both gone, Rowan would be the spark in this faction that could shine brighter than that lantern itself. Now, Rowan's last match was over 4 years ago, losing to Drew McIntyre on March 9th, 2020, and a month later he was released by WWE via a massive round of, quote, budget cuts. He has been on the indies ever since as Eric Redbeard. However, he recently had to cancel future indie bookings due to, quote, greater contractual obligations. So there is a massive chance Eric Rowan is on his way back to WWE to link up with the uncle. So we have Alexa Bliss, we have Eric Rowan. Number 3, the third person to link up with Uncle Howdy, Braun Strowman. Now, technically, Braun is not an original member of the Wyatt family, as Bray, Rowan, and Harper debuted together long beforehand. But when most fans think of the Wyatt family, Braun Strowman comes to mind. And let's be real, Strowman was figuratively and literally a huge part of the Wyatt family. Now, Braun's last match in the company was nearly a full year ago, May 1st, 2023. He and Ricochet defeated Gable and Otis. on Monday Night Raw. He would later in the year undergo neck fusion surgery and has been recovering ever since. However, recently, reports have indicated Braun is nearing his return. What timing for Braun to be ready for a comeback right when Uncle Howdy is forming this faction. Number 4, and this one's a bit outside the box, but we're talking about Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy. Isn't everything outside the box? So number 4, I have Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy, if you guys go back to 2018 at the greatest Royal Rumble ever pay-per-view, that's right, they were still PPVs back then, the Eater of Worlds joined forces with the Leader of Worlds, and Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy defeated The Bar, Cesaro and Sheamus, to become tag team champions. That's right, Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt as tag team champions. Now here's the best part. Just a few months later at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, Wyatt and Hardy lost the titles to the B Team, Axel and Bo Dallas, a.k.a. now Uncle Howdy. Till this day, Hardy says he and Wyatt could have done so much more creatively, but VKM just never allowed it. Now you're thinking, BC, not possible. Hardy is with AEW. Actually, he is not with AEW. Last week, Hardy's contract expired, and as of now, he has not re-signed with the company. Hardy stating recently that at this point in his career, the money isn't the only factor. It's what situation will be most creative and meaningful. As WWE puts this new Wyatt Legacy faction together, Hardy just happens to be a free agent. It's just like all these puzzle pieces are just kind of coming together at the right time. Alexa Bliss is ready to make her comeback, right? She's talking about SummerSlam right by the hometown of Columbus. It's going to be in Cleveland. And she told all of us, right? She's back at it in the gym. So she's getting ready for that return. Braun Strowman, after this long hiatus from that neck fusion surgery, he's ready for his return. Matt Hardy just happens to be a free agent. His contract expires a week before the Uncle Howdy faction is being put together. So we have 4 of the 5 names to link up with Uncle Howdy: Alexa Bliss, Braun Strowman, Eric Rowan, and Matt Hardy. So, who would that 5th person be? Glad you asked. Now, this one is a complete wild card, and this dude hasn't wrestled since May 29th of last year when he defeated Tozawa on Main Event, but every great faction has that one person that you hope will be the breakout star, right? Evolution had Batista and Orton, Legacy had Cody Rhodes, and so on. This Uncle Howdy group has plenty of vets, but it needs that one name that could use a massive creative push. Enter the 6th and final member, Dexter Lumis. That's right, I said it, Dexter Lumis. Enough said. Right? I mean, you got to have that breakout star, right? Everybody else is pretty much a vet. You know, they've had a lot of time in the sun, and that's awesome. And they're going to go for another run at it. That's awesome. But you got to have that dude too, just like Evolution did have like Batista and Orton. You don't know if they're going to be breakout stars, but at least you're helping out that younger talent that you're going to see if they do have anything, you know. This is their time to show it, sink or swim. Same thing with Randy Orton's Legacy group, you know, Cody Rhodes or Ted DiBiase Jr. You're hoping one or maybe both could be something special. Obviously, Cody, after a while, finally became that. Ted DiBiase Jr. unfortunately never panned out. But, you know, Dexter Lumis, it's one of those dudes that has not become a household name, is not this megastar, has all the potential in the world, needs that one thing creatively. At this point, he just needs anything. Again, we're hearing that he's not even injured. They have nothing for him. There's been photos and everything that's being said. He's more jacked than ever before. He's spending more time now in the gym than ever before because he's got all the time in the world. Now is the time. Put him in something. Just use him for something. And it has to fit him. And it has to be creative. Well, man, it ain't much more better. There's not much more of a better fit for somebody like Dexter Lumis's character than this faction. And let's face it, Even if you're against the idea, they got nothing for him anyway. The dude has not been seen again since when? May 29th of last year was his last match over Tozawa. I don't know. That's the 5 I would put with Uncle Howdy. If you're going to do like a Bray Wyatt legacy faction that's going to be carried on by Bo Dallas or Uncle Howdy, Eric Rowan, Braun Strowman, Matt Hardy, Alexa Bliss, and Dexter Lumis. I think that's pretty badass. I don't know. If you want to take out 1 or 2 and replace them, that's fine. You know, if you want to add another female, for instance, maybe take out Dexter or Braun. Maybe you want to throw in Nikki Cross. Maybe an Isla Dawn. Dexter Lumis. That's right. I said it. Dexter Lumis. What a cast of characters that would be. Before we wrap up this amped upload, I do want to talk the JD co-host situation. Monday evening, we're doing the Raw preview live, and I think it was like a super chat. I was asked if I would join TNT. Now, mind you, if you were watching live, you know how legit this is. I did not have a clue what TNT was. I thought we were talking TNT, TBS, like Turner Network, to which I affiliated with Tony Khan and AEW. I mean, this was live, and I was like, no, I'm not going to work for Tony Khan, AEW, or TNT, or Turner, or whoever owns those networks. Like, I didn't know what we were talking about. We're talking about the Raw preview, and that was being asked if I'm going to join TNT. As the stream went on, you guys were telling me that it's a show or a podcast that JD does on his channel, and that his co-host had abruptly left, Andy Baydala, who I've never heard of. Don't know if I'm even pronouncing that correctly, but just like TNT, I never heard of an Andy Baydala. So I didn't know what we were talking about, guys. But I gave you an honest answer up front, and that's much love and respect, as I said on Monday evening, and I'll continue to say much love, much respect over to JD and what he does on the channel. Hopefully he is thriving and crushing it over there and in this community. And if he ever truly needs something from BC, he knows I'll drop what I'm doing and help out. But I just can't keep tabs and follow along with what people are doing in the community, even my own boys. I just don't have the time to do it. So that's when I say I didn't know anything about TNT or co-host. I knew about Jesse. I had worked with him before on the roundtable, and a really cool dude. I didn't know any other co-host or anything like that. So I gave you guys an honest answer up front, and this is before I had even known JD had reached out to me, by the way. You guys told me that on the Raw review. I'll get to that in a minute. But at that point, we were live, and you guys were just telling me about this. I didn't even know JD had reached out at that point. But I was going to give you guys an honest answer. A, there's no way I would do that because something like that has to be special. It's like Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, WrestleMania 25. You'll never be able to top that. They tried again 1 year later, Michaels, Undertaker Part 2 at 26. Was it great? Of course. It's Michaels Taker. There'll always be great. But you're never going to top what you did at 25. That was a movie that didn't need a sequel. So you're going to do BC and JD. That's got to be special, once in a blue moon. You can't just wear that every week. That's an injustice to what BC and JD deliver together. That's just how I felt. B, I don't want to be stricken to a schedule. In the over 5 years I've been creating content for this channel, my veteran subscribers will tell you, I don't follow schedules. I don't do it. When Monday Night Raw goes off the air, hopefully sometime within the next 24 hours, you guys will get a Raw review. You don't know when, because BC doesn't know. That's just how we roll. Fully amplified is a real thing, and I'm spontaneous, man. And this has to be special, right? It has to be something that is truly in the moment, like topics and discussions and subjects that I want to talk about. Right? That's what a hobby should be. And if I got to get up a little earlier or go to bed later or move some things aside or go in later on a certain endeavor, then such is. But I want to talk about this pro wrestling subject over some coffee and get the upload out to you guys. You know, that's what a hobby should be. Something you're so passionate about that you find the time to do it and you love it. The day it becomes work and not a hobby is the day I wouldn't be as happy doing it. I probably wouldn't want to do it. And to me, a schedule of time and a day where you have to talk pro wrestling. Right now, man, we're going to talk pro wrestling at this time. It just doesn't seem natural to me. Seems like work, seems like a job, and pro wrestling is not my life. I do many other things outside of pro wrestling, thankfully. So I could not. I couldn't be stricken to a schedule for the past 5+ years. I've been doing content, creating content for you guys, and there's no way that I would burden somebody else by saying I would commit to something and not be able to follow through, right? Every other week saying, oh, by the way, I can't make it this week, man. That's not fair. So A, it has to be special, and B, I don't want to be clogged down by a schedule. The irony in it is the more you become successful, the more work it does become. So much more time has to be put into it. But that's a good thing, you know? You still do it on your time. That's the cool thing. But when when somebody offers something to you and it's a joint thing and you have to honor that. So that's why I said no on Monday evening, straight up. Has to be special, and there's no way I could commit to that. It's not how I roll. It's not fair to JD. Now, fast forward. That's a long-winded answer, but full transparency. So then you fast forward, because I know some people are like, how can you say no so fast? Well, that's why. You know, these are things that have already been thought about. You know, if this could work a little bit easier, BC and JD would have already done 100 shows together. So then we fast forward to Monday's review, and a bunch of you guys were telling me that JD had tried reaching out to me. Again, I didn't. I do the social doohickey machine or DMs, whatever you want to call it. I once every 2-3 years, I go on that. I don't have the time for that, nor do I have the patience. But so you guys told me you had tried to reach out. Just yesterday, I finally came across that, and I responded promptly. What we discussed is between us, but I can tell you, I said the same thing, and it's no different than with you guys. Not only does it have to be special, but it's not fair to JD if I say yes to this and I can't do it every single Tuesday. I can't do NXT reviews, AEW reviews. There's no TV around on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. I'm out in the world. I'm crushing it. I don't have 1 minute to watch NXT or AEW live or TNA. I just don't have that time. And now on Tuesdays or Thursdays, whenever he does this show, you know, I have to make sure, even before we go live to prep, I have to make sure that this time is, because now it's no longer just me. If I can't go live, at least that's just on me. My audience will understand. But now, you know, it's not just me. You got to think about JD and his audience and all of that. So there's no way that I would be a burden. I learned a long time ago, if you truly want to see somebody thrive and succeed, if you're going to help them, you got to be a reliability, not a liability. A reliability, not a liability. Even if you have the best of intentions, if you can't follow through, then the best way you can help is to say no, is to say you just can't do it because it's not fair to him. So if anything, it's the least selfish thing I could have done, you know, is to think about JD, that show that he's trying to create and make special. And I don't want to get too long-winded on this. It's like going on last at a pro wrestling show, the main event. You want to wrap it up so you don't miss room service. We're going to wrap this up. In its totality, the reason I said no to you guys initially and no recently to JD himself, the reason I said no to this offer to co-host TNT with JD is because it's too special. It can't be worn down every week. Us linking up to collab and create is an event. To this day, I still hear about that damn roundtable and how epic it was because it's an event. It cannot be and should not be worn down every week. And nor would I want it to be. So it's not even what's best for BC. It's what would have been best for JD. And taking that offer and committing to something that I'm not fully committed to is a disservice and a disrespect to JD. And I'm not going to do that. So hopefully that's more transparency as to why I was so quick to say no. And even after thought and JD reaching out, why it was in the best interest for him, not just me, to not do this on a week-to-week basis. But I will say this in ending this upload, in this conversation on this. I will say that I did tell him if he ever truly needs a co-host for a week, 2 weeks max, if he wants to rock out in the near future and he needs a co-host, I won't leave him hanging. Not a week-to-week thing. But I said, let's burn this community to the ground. Let's get them talking. I'm just going to leave that out there, man. So I'm not saying that you won't see us create absolute fire in the near future. But that is what I will say about that. Much love and respect to that dude. Slay it. Keep crushing it. Pave the way. And not like we're going to... I was going to say carve the path, right? Create that path for the rest of us. But BC wouldn't be on that anyway. I'm going to be the renegade. Plowing through the woods, man. Flipping everybody off as I go by. JD will just be smiling. There's BC, man. He doesn't want to take the path we created for him. Oh, no. That's it, guys. Until next time, there will be that next time. Much love and respect always. BC and his amplified unit saying check you. Peace.